Okay, we are live. Let me know you can hear me and we will get started. Well, I see 12 people here already. Great to see you guys. Okay, let's get started. Hey, this is Eric from Fast Track Watercolor. Welcome to our Saturday Night Live, which sounds way more excited than what's really happening, which is just seeing me painting and here listen to me mumbling stuff around. But anyways, so this is the photo under me is the photo that we're going to paint today. It's a good old rainy scenery painting, which is the subject that kind of draws me into the whole watercolor scene. So yeah, it's kind of go back to one of my roots, and of course you cannot think about rainy street without relating to Joseph's book Vich, but I will try to approach it slightly different, and we'll see how that turns out. Of course, it's still probably one of the most natural way to paint this. So I'm going to have my face, and the photo is, I took the photo from downtown Seattle, obviously, sometime earlier this year. And let me just double check. Yeah, sometime earlier this year. And the building and the background, with that triangular roof, that is the Smith Tower, which is one of the iconic structure in downtown Seattle. Alright, so before we start, where is it? Something I probably want to show you guys. So I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I show this photo to you guys. Hi Barbara. Hi Jacqueline. Alright, so this is my value study, my first layer of value study anyway, so I'm gonna paint a second layer on it later, but I'm gonna go ahead and start paint the color painting first, and then we'll come back to the value study, see what else I need to do on that. But anyways, just start out by just drawing big shape. Obviously the composition is this big H shape, which is a very typical composition for street scenery. And I'll put the Smith Tower around here, which is, I'm not going to say that's our main character, but that is an iconic structure in Seattle. So that's something I want to put in right where the rule of third grid line is. It's just for better composition. So right now I'm just holding my pencil way back. Lighten up your wrist. Just drawing some big long line, fast, loose, long line. Get your composition down, and I think I'll leave the horizon somewhere around here. Now the tree is going upward slightly, so we'll take that into consideration as we paint. Okay. Hello everybody. Hi Chad, Seema, Burka, Barika, Seema, Kenny. We got so many people already. It's so great. I feel so great. Thank you guys for being here, keeping me company. Okay. I'll try to make it as fun as I can be. Alright, so here's a Smith Tower. It's a funny looking shape here. Okay, so the vanishing point, I'm just going to sit somewhere around here. So everything will roughly follows that. Okay, so Smith's Tower there. Here's a building in front. And you know, when it comes to street scenery like these, just try to focus on the big shape, which is probably the most important thing here, because if you're trying to, I'm gonna make this tower a little bit taller. Yes, it should be a little bit taller. It should be about like right here. Yeah, the big shape matters, so don't bog down on tiny little details, especially when it comes to like skyscraper and stuff. There's so much details there, and if you try to paint everything, you know, I'm definitely not that kind of artist who will try to paint everything. It's just not really feasible for me. Okay, so here's a building here. It has a little bit of the light side on this side, but we'll deal with that when we are doing the actual painting. And there's some trees here. It's mostly dead trees because it's still pretty cold during the winter. I will paint some leaf, making it a little bit fuller, but I'm not exactly going to paint it into like a bright green color. It is a rainy day, so it's like an overcast day. So, okay, here we go. And there's a clock here. That clock is actually not in the original photo, I just added in. Because if you continue to drive down this street, somewhere down the street there's this big clock there, and I really like it, so I decided to just add that in here. So if you visit Seattle, you happen to find this spot, and you're wondering why the clock is not there, it's my fault. I just add that in there, just for a little bit of visual interest. Okay. Okay, so there we go. And as you can see, I'm not copying exactly what the photo is. You know, I moved the buildings around and things like that, so you're definitely going to see stuff that's a little bit different. Okay, so I got a curb here. There's a cross street there. Okay, so I got a little bit of cough, but I am pretty sure it's not COVID-19, so don't worry. Well, even if I got it, there's no way I'm gonna pass it to you here anyway. So, but yeah, but I think it's just maybe it's the pollen season, and then I've been a little bit sleep deprived lately, so my immune system probably go down a little bit. But yeah, if I cough a little bit during the live stream, I apologize in advance. Hopefully, I'll try to mute it before I, cough out loud into the microphone. Okay, so here's a big SUV, and it will have this, the iconic tail light reflection down here. We'll deal with those a little bit later, but the shape is definitely important. You don't want to make the the windshield too big. I mean, the biggest you want to go is maybe half and half. I'll cut it down just a little bit. Yeah, so I'll go up a little bit. Here's a license plate and such. Most of it is just going to be dark. And there's a car in front of that SUV. I'm going to draw it here. You see a tiny little bit of the side, not much at all. Just a bunch of SUV. Yeah. Like you see a lot of those watercolor painting that just have like regular sedan, but for some reason, if you look at this photo closely, just so many SUVs all over the place. I'll probably change up the car a little bit. There's like a little boxy looking car. I'll just make it into like a regular sedan. There's some buses in the distance. I'm just going to make an indication on that so they're taller. Okay, so we got just another street. Should be another lane here. But I'm thinking that I am going to maybe shift it a little bit, because I took this photo when I'm on a car, so unless I can stand in the middle of the road doing plein air, this is not really a usual angle. So actually I'm thinking I'm gonna change a little bit, so I'll see a little bit more of a sidewalk here. So maybe here, and then I can maybe snuck in a figure or two. I think it's still important to have, you know, a little bit of the figure. So I have a guy walking. It's a rainy day, I'll give it an umbrella. Again, this is kind of typical, but you know, rainy street. For some reason, people never get tired of it. Neither do I. So maybe a couple here sharing an umbrella, and some other people back here. Another umbrella, another one here. Hello from Hong Kong. Well, nice seeing you. Thank you for being here. So a couple figures here. And then since I changed the perspective a little bit, I think I'm gonna change the car here a little bit, just to have a little bit more side here. So not going to be a huge difference, but it's showing a little bit of side. I think this can look a little bit more interesting, just a little bit more dimensional. So this is not exactly in the photo, but change things around. Okay, never hurt. Take a creative license where you can. Okay, so the building right here. There's a crane here. I'm not gonna paint that in, just not necessary. Okay, a couple buildings here, some buildings in the back. I might have them fade off a little bit more than what's going on in the photo. And I'll probably have a signal of some sort. Okay, something like these. I want to raise it higher than the background building. Again, different from the photograph, but okay. So that should be it. Took a little bit of time doing the drawing, which shouldn't really need to. Oh, before I start, I actually want to get a little bit of perspective going on with this building. Like a couple guys actually, so just... Okay, that's the vanishing point, so I just want to, you know, draw a few guys, because once I starting to do the painting, I don't want to spend time figure that out. So okay, this shoots up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm free hanging this, so this is not, I'm not using a ruler, but these are going to be helpful because I need to leave some of these windows light, you know, as reflection of the sky. So yeah, so just a few lines just for a guide. Okay. Oh, good morning from Milan. All right. This is taken from Seattle in case you missed it. Okay. I'll make this clock a little bit darker just so we can see it a little bit better. Otherwise, I might just paint over that for no good reason. Okay. Okay, so that should be it. Can erase some of the lines, and I'm gonna start my first wash very soon. Okay, so before we start, there are a couple things I want to do that's going to be a little bit different than how I usually approach this. So the first thing that I want to do is to get the tail light color in, which is the glowing red. So what I want to do here is, let me try to clear this palette a little bit. It's a little bit dirty. I'm going to use some of this color, so I just need a clean spot right there so I can have a nice clean color. It has a 4B LED. So the 4B LED is 0.5 millimeter. Okay, so make sure you have a mechanical pencil that takes 4B. Okay, all right. So I am going to wet my painting, some part of it, not everywhere, with a sponge, especially here. Okay, the back of this car here. Okay, a couple of the area. It's gonna dry really fast anyways, so I'm not gonna bother to try to like wet everything. A couple areas and that will be it. Okay, some of the area that I want to have a little bit of glow, like a color glow. So back of the car and that reflection specifically. Okay, and then I am going to just mix a nice glowing red. Okay, just out of a tube cadmium red. I will add a little bit of orange into the mix just to warm it up just a little bit. Red in itself is actually not that warm. So, okay. And just before that wet spot is dry, I'm just going to paint that in here. Okay. And where else? There's that and okay, coming down there a little bit. Okay, so this is something that a little bit different than how I usually approach, because usually I would just come back in with a red opaque paint and red gouache, but this time I thought I'll try this first just to get the color of the light in first. Okay, and then maybe I'll paint around them a little bit later. I don't know just yet, but you know, try to make it a little bit more transparent and clean. And then I also wetted that spot because that has a nice warm light. So let me get a little bit of the warm color in there. Okay, I believe it's here. Okay, look at that. That's a nice warm color right there. Okay, so just some nice warm glowing color. Like obviously I'm going to paint over those warm colors later anyways, mostly because the value of the Smith's tower is actually darker. Okay, we'll paint some signals in. Again, I don't know how it's gonna work out just yet. I might still need to come back in with squash and stuff. Okay, so that is that. I am going to... Yeah, Barbara is always pretty hardcore. She's always here in the Eastern time, very late. Thank you for being here, though. Okay. I'm gonna mix my gray. So I use the leftover colors on my palette and mix some more color. Okay, so first wash for this one, we don't need to make it too dark, okay? Just going to try to get rid of the white of the paper. Okay, that's actually a little bit dark, so I'm adding a little bit more water. And right here, I'm going to... Actually, this is even darker. Well, I'm using Saunders, so one of the things about Saunders is it dries a lot lighter. It's quite absorbent, actually, so I'm gonna just paint a little bit of the warm tone in there. Okay, just paint that in. Okay. Okay. Just cover that up. Don't worry about it. Once it's dry, it's going to go a lot lighter. Okay. Okay, there's a bead there. Oops. Let me raise that up a little bit for you. So there's a bead right here. Sorry for a slow camera movement. There's a bead right here. As long as that bead is there, it's telling me that I can still go down. So, you know, I have a little bit of time to continue my wash. So before I continue down, I want to paint a little bit of cloud in there. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of neutral tint. I'll grab some blue. It's going to be a very, very faint light cloud in here, just something like this. Okay. Okay, so maybe a little bit more down here. Like not heavy at all, just a little hint to break up that space, and that's about it. Okay. Yeah, just that. If you kind of like it, just stop. All right, I'll continue down the wash since that bead is still there. Okay, down here is almost starting to become just clean water. I mean dirty water. Okay, and I'm gonna warm it up just a little bit, darken it ever so slightly. I don't have sap green. Yeah, I don't have sap green. The green I have, this is the cobalt turquoise. This is cobalt turquoise teal or something. I don't quite remember. Yeah, but it's definitely not sap green. I don't really own a tube of green. I like to mix my own green. Okay, so the clock here, I'll give it just a little bit of warmth here, but it's not that bright, so for the most part I'll just paint it over. Okay. Okay, so here we are down here, and let me lower that. Oh, first time. Great to see you, Elaine. Okay. Okay, so down here is time to look out for highlights and stuff. What part of the painting you want to actually make it, keeping it white. So maybe the white card back here, but for a lot of stuff, you can kind of just paint over, no big deal. Okay, so the umbrella, I will paint over them. Be a little bit careful, but not too careful. Okay, I know I contradict myself, but what I mean is that you just slow down a little bit, but don't bother to make everything perfect. That's not what this is about. If I want to make a super neat, perfect painting, then I won't be painting this way. I'm just gonna paint layers after layers and with tiny little brush and just spend hours rendering everything. This is not that kind of painting. Nothing wrong with those type of painting, just not how this painting works. Okay, can paint into the black card, is fine. Okay. Okay, so here, just I leave those red a little bit, but the rest of the painting I can just paint over them, and I will darken it slightly. The tail light, I will paint around them very loosely. Just to preserve those red there. Okay. Speed up and finish that wash. I need to grab a bigger brush so it'll be easier. Okay, a little bit cooler. Okay, finish that wash right here. Okay, there we go. Our first wash is done. Before it is dry, I'll grab a brush, wash it a little bit, squeeze out the moisture. With just a little bit of dampness, I will have a little bit of directional line here. Okay, that follows the perspective. Okay. Okay, I'll have one here. So tire track or texture on the road, whatever those are, it doesn't really matter. It just kind of helps to pull you in. Okay, you have a few seconds to do this, so don't wait till it's almost dry, then that's no good. Okay. Alright, so that's our first wash. Let me see if I can include the whole painting. I mean, this is as yeah, this is as much as I can include. So besides this kind of brown, warmish color, everything is just pretty much done in one go. And I paint a little bit of cloud there, but it doesn't really matter. Should I add a little bit more? I'm not quite sure. Nah, I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. Usually when in doubt, you shouldn't just bother. Okay, so while it is drying, yeah, still drying, I am actually going to start painting the background from background out. So this might give me a little bit of softness that I will actually think is going to help. So let me grab grab my number 14 synthetic brush, and yeah, the background color, the background building is a little bit of kind of this turquoise-ish, it's the color of those glass. So I'll mix those color in. I'll add a little bit burnt umber just to neutralize a little bit, otherwise it's gonna be too saturated. Okay, alright, let me dry my brush a little bit, pick up the color, and just kind of squint your eyes a little bit and see if that is what is going to work out. Okay, sorry, I just coughed a little bit. Alright. So background, I leave some random highlights, but it's just because I don't want a solid color there. But a little bit more umber. I might add a little bit of neutral tint. And a little bit more. Okay. It's funny, it's actually starting to dry sooner than I thought. I was expecting to get a little bit of wetness. I guess not. I mean, I was expecting to get a little bit of bloom. It's funny because it's not at all. The shapes still look pretty sharp. I might actually need to soften the edge a little bit. Okay, I'll warm that up a little bit. So I'll paint around this truck, bus, whatever that is. Okay. Alright, let me grab a clean brush. I'm gonna grab a clean water. And I'm just gonna soften this edge a little bit. Just so that it kind of fades back into the atmosphere. I don't want a very distinct edge there. Hi Karen. Don't be sorry that you're late. I mean, it is a late live stream. Okay, so a little bit darker down here. Wet into wet. Okay. This is mostly gonna be like a monochromatic painting. I don't expect to have a lot of colors here. The most color that's going to pop is probably those tail lights and stuff. So, okay. So here we have that. Okay. So a little bit darker down here, distant trees, whatever. And then I think I'm just gonna paint it outwards. So start with our iconic building, the Smith Tower. Okay, as much as if you look at the photo, it is almost white. It is not a white building. Okay, I mean, you know, they could be using white paint, but in this scene, it's not white. Okay, if you kind of squint your eyes, it jumps out from the background. So we do need to give it a little bit of tone here. Okay, we cannot just leave it white and try to paint around it. The sky is clearly lighter than the tower. So, and I'm not even going to bother with all the black and white detail right now. I can add those in later. What's important is to get that shape in nice and clean. Okay. Okay, and while at that, I will connect it into this building right here. Again, try to connect everything. Okay, there are some dark windows and stuff. We don't worry about that right now. Just we're not. Okay, we are painting a nice single shape right now. This is one single wash. Keep it that way. Okay. Okay, so there's going to be some trees and stuff, so that part doesn't matter that much. And the most you want to do is a little bit of color variation, and that's about it. For the rest, just keep it as a single shape. Let's paint around the clock a little bit. Okay, this is our second wash. Okay, so we're painting the shape in, and we're leaving out the highlight, the light part of the painting. Oh, sorry. I was coughing, so I muted the microphone and I forgot to turn it back on. Okay. Now I'm going to this part. We'll just keep it light. Yeah. Okay, so just get a little bit of, kind of like a glowing effect here. So I'm just gonna press and get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Rob, because I wouldn't have any idea. Because I turned off the audio on my end, so you guys won't get any echo. Okay, so let's continue. I will leave a little bit of highlight here, but okay, here's the clock. Leave that white, and then the rest of it we just very easily, very loosely just fill those in. Now I'm gonna keep most of these light, just kind of echoing the light source of the building. I think the sun is somewhere behind or something, judging by the reflection. I mean, it is also kind of like an overcast day, so the sunlight is just going to have a very soft glow here. Now the tail light, we're just gonna paint around it, preserve that light. Okay. Okay, again, our second wash. Don't fuss too much. We're not into the detail just yet. Okay. Okay, so, and all the way down here, we're just gonna finish this side first. Okay. So just mostly two colors, burnt umber and cobalt blue. I add a little bit ultramarine just to make it a little bit cooler. And okay, so just paint around those highlights. Okay, they are hard edge, but it doesn't matter. I just want to keep them light and clean. We can soften with a clean brush a little bit later. Okay, now I'm gonna add a little bit of warm tone here. So I'll add a little bit of yellow ochre, or is that raw sienna? I have no idea, I forgot. Okay, so just a little bit of the warm tone here, so that we get a little bit of color reflection here. Not much though, it's not. Okay, and then I'm just going to use a clean water, just soften the rest of it. Okay, clean water and just soften that. I'll connect some of the shape over. Okay, this is a white car, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit of cool tone here. Windshield though, let's paint those in. Okay, this is all connected. Okay, don't break up the shape. Now this part is probably dry, but still I can still paint over there, and as long as I'm keeping it clean, I'll be fine. Okay, finishing up that shape. Okay, and then oh, I do have a clean water. It's right here. You just don't see it. I cannot fit both here, and I want to keep my claws here, so I do have a clean water. I don't always go dig back into that one though, because I don't really mind using dirty water that much. Like, I try to keep my process, as mindless and easy as I can. Anyways, adding some warm tones here. Okay, this building is a little bit, I actually grab a little bit of red here. The building right here is a little bit warmer. Okay, That being said, it's important to note that, warm and cool color and dark and light tone is, is a separate thing. You can have something warm but dark, and you can have cool tone but light. Okay, so what I'm mostly doing right now, despite mixing different colors and stuff, they are mostly the same value. Okay, I have a little bit of color value variation inside of that wash, but not much at all. So, okay, these are just background buildings and stuff. Doesn't really matter. Right? And then I'm going to paint this building over here. Sorry, this is rough paper. However, this is a Saunders rough. Saunders rough and Arches rough is a totally different thing. Arches rough is a lot rougher. So Saunders rough is still pretty soft. So that's something that you probably want to keep in mind. Okay, so if you paint with Arches, I will get cold press. But if you paint with Saunders, like what I'm doing right now, get rough. Okay, I'm just gonna fill that spot up. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this will give us some sense of kind of window reflecting, similar to that actually, just to get a little bit of windows reflecting light. And the rest of it we can just paint over that, and then I'm going to paint like a cool dark tone, maybe a little bit warmer. Okay, make sure you have enough mixture because this is a large area and I just want to paint over it like that. Sorry you see my arm here because I'm turning my side. Okay, I'm trying to get a nice straight line. Okay, let's go in a little bit more. Okay. Okay, I have only a few seconds to get it nice and straight. Okay, nice clean edge right here. Okay. Let me add into it just a little bit more. Yeah, this. Okay. Okay, it looks a little bit stiff. I'm going to spray a little bit of water from the distance just to see if I can loosen up a little bit, give it a little bit of texture. Okay, and I'll add in a little bit of warm here. I mainly want to keep the kind of reflection light up here, so down here it can fill up a little bit more. That's fine. Brand of paint, I use Daniel Smith's mostly, but I do have a few Mission Gold color. I actually did a video a while back reviewing the Mission Gold paint. They are very good paint, I just haven't got to it because I still have a bunch of Daniel Smith's paint that I haven't finished using. And plus Mission Gold paint is, they have the same name but completely different looking colors, so I need to spend some time to figure them out. But regardless, they are very nice paint. Highly recommend those. Very intense, vibrant, and beautiful. Daniel Smith, on the other hand, they're also pretty nice and intense. They're a little bit more stable. So if you want to mix a little bit more kind of like this different tones of gray, It's a nice choice. Anyways, both are very good paint. Yeah, but I do get a set of Magello Mission Gold for free. I just wrote them that I'm interested in your paint. Can you send me some sample? And they just end up sending me like a huge box because they know I'm, I have a YouTube channel and I can do like a review for them. So, okay, so this, continue that down. Okay, so very importantly that we want to keep this light reflection going. Okay, so don't fill the middle part. That's going to be a very important light for our composition. So I'm going to grab some clean water. Just get some light in here, and then I will just get a little bit those reflection in. We don't need to go dark just yet. We still have a wash to go. And then if it's not dark enough, we can glaze it over. Okay, what's more important is to get this whole shape done, this nice H shape. Okay, now we are at a good spot. There's still some dark part. I mean, there's still some wet areas, so we can have a little bit of fun with it. I will maybe add a little bit of saturated color. There's some cones here, whatever, but to me there's just some opportunity for a little bit of color, so maybe a couple hints of color here. And then I do want some dark color but soft shape, so some distant trees and stuff. Now is a good time to paint those in. Okay, a little bit of softness here. This is like a nice damp stage right now, so if you mix a dry enough paint, okay, a little bit of green here, so if you mix a dry enough paint, you're going to have a nice soft shape here, and that's great for having a little bit of atmosphere. Yes, that's the Smith Tower. We got a logo here. Okay, so I am going to Roman 12, thank you. I actually just put that verse. I got a wall decal of that verse and I just stick it on my kitchen. Seeing all this isolation, staying at home, I'm starting to do some stuff around the house. And we got sun and rain, so my lawns start to become, like, the grass become pretty tall and weeds and stuff. So I actually got a lawnmower, first time in my life. Going to try to trim those lawns and do a little bit of landscaping. It's an interesting time for sure. Okay, so okay, I will just leave this out here so it doesn't need to continue down. Okay, the other side is mostly dry. It's still a little bit damp too, so I think maybe I'll do the same thing here. Let me switch a brush. I just got a new synthetic brush, Da Vinci Casaneo. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. is a synthetic Kolinsky brush, I think. A very nice brush. I only tried it a little bit. I'm probably mostly going to use that for portrait, but I'm going to test it out a little bit. Yeah, being on the top of the Smith Tower, that's really cool. Never actually been inside. I live in East Seattle, so across the bridge, across the Lake Washington. So I actually don't go to downtown too often. Sorry, let me move the camera up a little bit. I actually don't go to downtown that often. Oh yeah, I did say that I want to make the tree a little bit more full, less of a just bunch of branches. So I'm gonna see if I can hint a little bit of leaves and stuff. Still, it's just mostly just a shape. Okay, so don't stress on I'm gonna paint individual leaves. That's just not feasible and just not something you need to do. So this is actually our third wash, our third layer. So that's why we're starting to paint some darker stuff in here already. Okay, now I'm going to make some darker tones. Down here, wet into wet, giving some volume here. Okay, since I am trying to imagine they are actually leaves, I'm just paint the clock tower in. Given a little bit of value variation, be fine. Okay, so maybe tree trunk, whatever. I'm not quite sure what those are. Doesn't really matter. You know, just get that big shape in. And yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so I don't go to downtown too much. I took this photo, funny enough, the day I was called for jury duty. And I got lucky, or unlucky, I don't know. I got lucky, they let me go, and they called a bunch of people. I'm not part of the group, so I got let go early, so I drove around downtown and took some photos. So Yorkshire, UK, I hope you guys are doing okay as well. Like, so with all the pandemic. Okay. So okay, we got some nice trees and stuff, and now, okay, I'm going to set this on the side to let it dry a little bit. Take a little break on that actually. I'm just gonna work on my value study. So this is going to be quick, but yeah, that's pretty much what I did, right? Just big shape and stuff. Although I work a lot longer than my value study, mostly because the paper is a lot bigger, and also I need to mix different colors, but it's pretty much the same, okay, in terms of the shape and the composition. So I'm gonna grab just black color, a little bit of water, and then I'm just going to take a look at where do I need some dark to be. Okay, so maybe a little bit of details here. Okay, I'm not going to count how many floors over there, okay? It's just, yeah. that's not how how I want to do this. Okay. Okay, so a couple windows and just very loosely, okay, and I'm don't want to make it ridiculously neat as well, just an expression, okay, and a couple windows here as well. Actually, I don't even know. Actually, I don't even know if I want to. You know what? I'm just gonna see if this, yeah. I think it might be better if I just paint the whole thing dark, because the value differences is so little. Yeah, so I'm just gonna paint the whole thing, but maybe do a little bit of wet onto wet, just to get a little bit of detail in there, very loosely. Okay, bunch of trees, we kind of already paint that, so I'm just gonna go over that very quickly. The clock tower, this is not clock tower, just a huge giant clock. There's stand, bunch of stuff here. This is so relaxing. Thank you, Seema. Yeah, I try to make it a relaxing experience. We kind of need that right now. Okay, and our dark black car. Okay, just to paint that in here. Okay. This is very, very loose. I just want to visualize how it's going to look. Okay, the black car has a reflection, as a shadow. Okay, I'm trying to get that in. That connects to the white car here. The windshield, all of the windshields are pretty dark. Okay, the shadow here as well. Okay, and okay, got a little bit of reflection here. This is probably going to be longer than I expected, because it's a huge painting. I mean, for me anyways, I usually don't paint this big, but this is actually kind of for like a commission. Like one of this client hired me to do a couple different cities, Seattle being one of them. She lives in Seattle, and I told her that, well, I am doing, donation, charity, all the painting sale goes to charity. I'm not getting any profit from it. So she likes the idea, so she just hired me to paint another scenery in Seattle. I did a Vancouver for her. Well, I did a Vancouver first, and then she bought that from me, and she said she want, some other cities. So Seattle being one of it. And then I think she's from DC, so she said somewhere down the line she's gonna hire me to do a painting for DC. And so this is, hopefully this works out good. She likes it. It's going to end up at her home, and I'll donate the money to the needing, so everybody's happy. Okay, and we got little signals and stuff, and I think that's pretty much it. Okay, just keeping it simple. I like to keep this a little bit. I don't have a figure here, just because I don't want to go through the trouble paint those. Yeah, maybe a little bit darker here, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so just a couple punches, and the whole thing, the light feels more popped up, and we still got a nice big shape here, so that is great. Let's move back to, oh, thank you, Janice. Yeah, no, I'm pretty fortunate, and I'm really happy that some people like my painting. Okay, so let's get back to this. Now, obviously, we got a lot more sophisticated stuff here, but the main idea is going to be the same. So let's paint. So I'll start with the top of the Smith's Tower. Okay, so here we give it a little bit of that kind of sphere, whatever it is. Still quite wet, still quite moist. I feel you do see that bead here. So a little bit of detail, like seriously, don't go crazy on that. Okay, I do need to make it a little bit darker here. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Yeah, okay, I think that's dark enough. We don't want to make it too dark because it is in the distance. So I don't want to make it like, really, really dark and like super popped up. And okay, a couple windows and stuff. They're not super neat. I don't mind. They're just backgrounds. Okay, and a little bit of a couple of details here. Okay, okay, this couple of windows, and that connects to the tree down here, which is still a little bit moist. Amazingly, I expect them to be completely dry. Okay, so what brush are you using? This is Escoda Perla, a synthetic brush. I usually use this brush for like a hard surface, architectural stuff, because the hair is a lot more rigid. Okay, so that's good enough for what it is. And here, yeah, I think I'm gonna do what I was planned out to do, which is just to give it a glaze and just to give it a nice glaze over here like that. So I darken this, and while it is still wet, I will give it some dark details or something, just like that. Okay. So it's going to fade off, but like all I really want just to give it a little bit of value variation inside of here. But if you kind of squint your eyes, they all blend into each other, and that's what I want to do. I don't want it to be like 1, 2, 3, 4 windows here. Okay. So always kind of squint your eyes and look at the scene. Okay, don't lose the overall big picture. Okay, and that blends into the tree, which honestly doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be Like the tree doesn't really have to be defined. I got a little bit hints of leaf there, and that's that. And okay. And now I think well, time to define our big clock a little bit. Again, that clock is something that I added in later, because I just like how that clock look, and so I don't know what time it is, like 8 or something, I forgot, somewhere early in the morning. Okay. Some more dark on the side here. Okay. Okay. The base of that clock down here. I'll paint that in. Try not to fuzz around with it too much. Okay. Okay, so some trees and stuff. Couple dry brush stroke. Okay, and I'll give it a little bit of kind of like a curbside, whatever, and yeah, I think the rest of it I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. Just gonna give it a little bit of shape. Could be maybe a puddle of water, reflections, whatever. But as we go in here, I'm going to paint that dark black car. Okay, so this is just, I'm just going to do straight out neutral tint. Okay, I'll carefully paint around the light. I do want to preserve that light. And, okay, the wheel here. Okay, see you later, Laura. Thank you for being here. I know it's late, so if you need to go, don't feel obligated to stay. I'll keep the recording. And the fun thing about recording is you can kind of skip around if you already sing a certain part, or when a certain part drags a little bit too long, you can skip it. Okay, and then I'll continue up here. Yeah, just wrap that car up. Okay, and like just have it kind of connect to the stuff on the side here, so it just kind of merge into the background. Okay, okay, the side here, I'm just going to put the tire here and the bottom, but the side I can leave it a little bit lighter. It's the side view mirror. Okay. Okay, this too looks awkward. I'm just gonna wrap that shape up. Okay, so that red dry a little bit too transparent. I actually want to have a little bit more intense color than that, so I'm just gonna paint that in here. Down here as well. Okay. Okay, and then now I'm going to darken the reflection here a little bit, not everywhere. Okay, I don't want to darken everything. Like, I'm just gonna squint my eyes a little bit and see what part is darker. Okay, so we have a little bit lighter gap here, just probably like a puddle here. Then there's a little bit more reflection, a little bit darker reflection. So I'm gonna just get that in there. So what that's going to do is to make that red pops a little bit more. Okay. Okay, going on the side way a little bit. Okay. There we got some nice reflection here. Now they look pretty sharp. So I'm just gonna use a damp brush and soften some of the edges, maybe up here, and a little bit on the side. But some of the hard edges I don't mind. Like, if you walk on the wet street, sometime when the puddles gather, you know you got some hard edges in the water bottle, not the bottle, the water puddles with reflection and stuff. So a little bit of hard edge doesn't really hurt. I don't mind that. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna connect this over. Well, maybe a little bit separated, but you know, mostly connected with this car right here, and maybe a little bit of shadow underneath here. Give it a little bit of shadow, and excuse me, sorry, I don't have hand to hit the mute button. But after this, I need to hit the bed. I think I'm a little bit sleep deprived lately, so I got a little bit of cold. I think plus it's the pollen season. It's kind of easy to start coughing and stuff. I'm not sure if I'm allergic or not, but maybe. I'm not quite sure. Okay. Okay, now we got just some hints of random details, whatever, maybe distant cars, figures, whatever, just a couple stuff there. Okay, this car is a little bit too light. I might come back and do a glaze on top, but I'm not gonna do that now. It's going to, the water is going to, you know, fuzz all over the place. I need something a little bit cleaner right now. So, okay. All right. So cars and stuff, and I just kind of connect that shape over here into this car. So yeah, lots of connection, okay? However small that is, the more you can connect, the better. Don't paint little shape, individual shape all over the place. Don't separate a lot of shapes. Keep them connected. Okay, down here, wheel, and a shadow. Okay, and, some other cars and stuff. Okay. And I'll do a little bit of dry brushing here, maybe hint some trees, branches, whatever. And then I think I'm gonna start working on the figure. Before we do that, let's paint a little bit of windshield and stuff here. Okay, so let's work on the figure a little bit. I'm gonna keep it mostly pretty simple, so I'll give it a skin tone first. Okay, so just like color of the face and okay, and okay, make them a little bit longer. I can paint over them later anyways. Okay, so okay, this guy just typical black, wearing a black jacket, and okay, this leg forward, this leg back, so he's kind of walking. Okay, and the other person, I'm just gonna mix another color, so she's wearing like a dress or something. I'm not entirely sure, but you know. It's going to be very loose, so. Okay. And there's another guy back here, I don't know, wearing yellow or something. I have a yellow raincoat, so maybe that's me. I don't know. And blue jean, maybe? Yeah, try to, I want to have just a little bit more color, so it's not just gray all over the place. Okay, so I'll have to kind of maybe there's some reflection here, and then she has some reflection here as well. I'm totally making this up right now, by the way. This stuff is not in the photo, so I am improvising it big time. I'll mix. Using photo as my memory, yeah. Like if you have photo reference, don't just always trying to copy and everything you see. Sometimes it doesn't work in a painting. I mean, you might like the big shape and that's something you want to keep, but other than that, a lot of times we don't have to keep everything there is. Okay, I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit more simple here instead of trying to making things too complicated. So we can keep the overall big shape here. Okay, but this side, I do need to continue that big building down here, so to have that reflection in. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna wet some of this area. Maybe drop in a little bit of paint just get a little bit sense of reflection down here, but we don't need much. Okay, I'm gonna squeeze out the moisture, get a little bit of the light back. Okay, so the umbrella I will make, I'll make this one maybe like a teal color. Okay, this one maybe a little bit orange umbrella. I don't know if there's orange umbrella, but okay, so try to watch that. Okay, so all that's left is to have a little bit more detail on this side, and maybe we'll snuck in a little bit of the signals and stuff, and then we'll call it a day. I might come back in and do a little bit more details, but I think this live stream has gone long enough, so I'm just going to okay, so a couple windows and stuff just to okay, and we'll do our last wash for our building in the front, and we'll call it a day. Mine's better than photo. I hope so, but I'm not sure. I just try to, grab the essence of what I see there, but the rest of it just maybe you complete the photo, like maybe you complete the painting for me. I didn't really do all that much. There's maybe your mind makes it better, and if that's the case, I appreciate that, because I really actually didn't do that much. I'm just trying to get the big shape done and get the general feeling of the scenery, and that's about it. Okay. Alright, there it is. Couple minor details here. Gonna put some hair above this people so they are not just bald. Okay. Okay, I did said I want to glaze this car over because it is really way too light. So let me do that now. So it's a little bit less bright. Okay. And I think this is it. Okay, the only thing that's left is I'm just gonna paint a little bit of the signal in. Okay, try to keep some light that I painted in, and oops, a little bit crooked, but it's okay. Okay, and maybe another one over here, just to kind of reinforce the perspective a little bit. And maybe I'll pull a cable or two, so somewhere up here. And maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, I don't want to. Okay, and over here, another one. Something to come across in an empty space. Yeah, probably need to check out pretty soon. So one of the things I kind of apologize is just the color differences between the two camera. Like this camera is a little bit better to represent the color. This one just comes out very yellow for some reason, but the general shape is the same. So let me just pull that tape off, give it a little bit of the edge, and a nice clean edge. And here we have it. Hopefully you enjoyed this live stream. I'll probably come back myself and add a little bit of detail or something, get a little bit more stuff done in the dark area. But in essence, that's the general shape that I want to have. So if we compare the two, I got a little bit more darker stuff here, so maybe I can come back and do a little bit of shape here, but the big shape is pretty much the same. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I haven't done a West Tree scenery for quite a long time, so this is pretty enjoyable. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a wonderful evening, night, day, wherever you are. And I will see you guys maybe next week. Bye.